important pedagogical principles, but again the question with this mass of knowledge that's required to be crammed in by the age of 10, you know, it's all going to get distorted. So, if I just take that one away, I just want to focus on some of the things in the Charter. And Sarah will come in and interrupt at any time, Sarah. But just to pick, I mean, how it begins. Successful learning and development takes time. How revolutionary is that? You know, that children have their own growth. You know, they are not just being produced as future human resources for what little remains of industry we've got. You know, they're not human resources. They're not. That's not the way to view them. As somebody found a lovely proverb. I don't know whether it's Chinese or African, but it's you don't make grass grow faster by pulling it out of the ground. And I think it's precisely the problem with what's being forced on us. Secondly, sensory experience. And we say learning in symbolic forms, like abstract language, maths, symbols, scientific rules, etc., should build upon and work with a child's experience, use of the senses, and creative and experimental activity. You know, rote learning without a proper understanding lays a poor foundation for the future development. This is probably absolutely, I mean, time, sensory experience, not experience alone, obviously, play. These are three fundamental planks of that enormous revolution in thinking about education throughout the 19th century and into the 20th, which are being abandoned and being squeezed out, in fact. We say play should form an integral part of children's learning throughout the primary years. In fact, there is a lovely approach called storyline. It was invented in Glasgow, spread like wildfire across Scandinavia, is almost unknown in England. It was invented as a form of thematic work for lower primary school children. Please read about Storyline. They've got their own wonderful website. And when I went to Norway, I found it being used in upper secondary, it was being used in 16 to 19, all sorts of ways, you know, based on simulations, based on all sorts of activity. Play is important because it opens up the chance for new possibilities to have different futures, different relationships to the ones that you're constrained in. Key skills, yeah. Effective communicators, real meaningful communication, a respect for other languages beyond standard English. You know, whether that's regional dialect or whether that's youth speak or whether it's Punjabi or whatever it is. You know, absolutely fundamental. A broad and balanced curriculum. Schools should develop pupils' engagement with maths and other symbolic systems as an enjoyable experience so that they acquire tools for understanding the world. We stress values, we stress community, schools relating to community. And finally, I think the crucial thing about management and measurement. You know, the quality of primary education, the capacity of teachers to relate to children is distorted by a draconian surveillance system which divides, demoralises and distracts. You can't achieve excellence by diktat. So this present system must be replaced by staff development networks and learning communities which encourage peer observation, not judgmental observation, mutual coaching, teacher research, critical questioning, collaborative planning. And actually we're involved at Leeds Met. I'm involved and the colleague who works here full time are involved with teacher research networks in the immediate area and trying to spread that. So just a minute, less,
2 minutes.
Right? Oh, less than that. Well, I just want to skip to the end of this actually, go back to this, and just have a few pictures to show that it can be different in other places. So yeah, okay. Yeah. And where are we? Let's do it. Yeah. And so there I went to school, and quite normal. This is quite typical. Primary school, about 50 miles from Oslo. There seems to be a different, that's not all the class instead, they're not just saying, but there seems to be a fundamental, different relationship with teachers. I even asked the head, what do you do about a child with ADHD? And she said, what? I said, well, the child who's hyperactive, do you have any? Oh yeah, well we always tell them in advance when we're going to talk to the whole class during the morning. And they just go for a walk round in the garden outside. I think, my God, this is different. This is different altogether. In fact, some of our students went over there, and my teaching students, when I worked in Edinburgh, and they couldn't get over the fact that these 8-year-olds were coming up to them as the new visitor and be with them for a week, and gave them a hug. And they said, what should we do? And the teacher was flabbergasted and said, well, just hug them back. What else do you expect to do? So, you know, again, the carpets, the curtains, the settee at the back, all just fundamental. The day a week in the first few years of primary school in Norway, in the forest side. In the forest, schools are not abnormal, they are regular. I saw, in secondary school, I saw this, what looked like a big cycle shed made out of organic materials, made out of wood and stuff like that, which was their outdoor science lab. The kids have built it. You know, but nearer to home, here is finding the space within the tracks. Here's a school in Bradford where a lot of the children had very, very little English when they entered at the age of 5. And there they were being told by the last government's literacy strategy that at the age of 7, in the first term, they had to do the language of instructions, so they decided to bake a cake. And they baked, and that was cross-cultural learning as well, but they're baking this cake and they're mixing it, and they start off by doing it and talking through it, and then comes the written version. You know, and we need to get things back pedagogically. The same school, the kids were visiting the local area, and they were building up their literacy and drawing on the literacies of their other languages in different ways, and looking at symbols in terms of the photograph, the aerial map, the plan that they've made. We've got to get back to this way, these different ways of working that we've almost lost. A school in Germany that I know really, really well, it was they decided that the foundation, I mean, if you look at our foundation state, this is what they set down about what children of 5 to 8 should be entitled to. You know, pursue an interest together, show each other, explore the elements, make a fire, dam water, dig a hole, build a hut, plant a garden, cook together and eat it, wash up afterwards, read quietly, observe something, follow your curiosity, celebrate special occasions, you know, and all of that along with the normal school activities. You know, if we're thinking of the foundation stage, shouldn't it be something like that? You know, not these, again, a mass of targets. I'm not in the slightest against a 2-year-old learning numbers. My grandson, who's got the benefit of an older sister, will regularly go 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, and he would make different attempts at counting going up the stairs, and he's now switching from other or more to 2, and he's almost on the edge of 3. But that is a process that's part of his life. It's not this formal instruction. So I think that's probably it. And let's keep this up, and let's root it in every locality. Let's work with parents. Let's change the common sense. Okay.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Okay, you've been listening all morning, so I'm going to give you a chance to speak and to talk, and hopefully come up with some ideas that you can go back and change things where you are. Any comments or questions? Yes?
No, I'm probably one of the eldest people in the room, apart from Terry. You can tell I'm long I've been.
Complete.
I've
I've got my bus pass.
You're luckier than I am. The biggest thing I think is looking through that 40-year experience. I saw the first national curriculum come in. We did an audit of what we were doing before against the new. It's 95 to 97%, exactly the same. So actually that wasn't necessarily asking for something different. We carried on as we were. Then we got to revisions, which actually made life a bit better. And then we got to 97, and we got frameworks. And I actually think that was more critical in terms of controlling what teachers were doing. Probably more than the national curriculum before its time, because actually there was still some flexibility. So I think it's the frameworks that got in the way, where they were followed religiously, because they controlled the teaching as well as everything else. Now I would say that the current incarnation of the proposed curriculum is probably pushing it back to about 50 to 60%, because it's emphasising some things at the expense of others. So you're losing the balance. You can argue it's too broad. It's not balanced, and I don't think it's necessarily relevant. Take your point about play, I think it got lost somewhere, because it's very easy to downplay play. So I think it's context-based experiential learning rather than play. It's low-level stuff. I got a new camera a couple of weeks ago. I took it out of the box and I played with it. I didn't do anything other than say, well, how is it similar to what I had? And I played with it. So we have to find better words, so it's much clearer. So that's what I was thinking when you were talking about that. But I think it's the journey we've gone through. I think it's becoming less like it was. And I think there's people are afraid to go away from the structuring, because that takes confidence. Having said that, I've got two schools I work with in Lambeth who are in